Hi, how are we doing today? We have my February wrap up, and bear with me because I have a cold. Hence also why I'm filming with bad lighting, because during the day I just was like so much shit that I just generally didn't have the energy to film. Right now I'm feeling a little bit better, so I'm taking advantage of me feeling a bit better to actually film. But I have quite a lot to talk to you about, so it's gonna be rough. I don't know how much stamina I have. We'll see, so bear with me. Like I said, February, insane month. You'll see I read a lot. I don't know how I did it either, but I do have to say I enjoyed most of what I read, so I'm very excited to talk to you about it. So let's start with the stats. Beginning with the amount of books that I read, and strap yourself in because it's a lot. Like I said, I read 16 books in February. I also don't know how I did that. I apologize. I read a total of 6,372 pages, which is an average of 398.25 pages per book and 219.72 pages per day. I did 2 rereads and I had 2 DNFs. So for formats, we have 5 books I physically own, 2 ebooks, 1 galley from NetGalley, and 8 library books. Then for star rating, I have 4 2 stars, 2 3 stars, 6 4 stars, and 4 5 stars, and an average rating of 3.6. I told you I had some good reads. For age range, I have 1 young adult book, 2 new adult books, and 13 adult books. And then for genre, we have 5 mystery thrillers, 3 historical fictions, 5 contemporaries, 2 fantasies, and 1 non-fiction. So let's delve into this, because like I said, there's 18 books to talk about. I'm starting off with Woman Down by Colleen Hoover, which I gave 2 to 5 stars to. I was curious about this because I feel like the synopsis sounded interesting, but sadly enough, wasn't a big fan of this. In the author's note at the start of the book, Colleen Hoover talks about how this was first a short story and it was so well loved by readers, and considering it's now out of print, she decided to rewrite it into like a full length novel. I feel like it's very obvious that it used to be a short story because there was like barely any substance in this book. The writing is very repetitive, scenes feel very dragged out, and I genuinely think like if you I could cut this book down to the short story length, if you know what I mean. And then next we have Romancing Mister Bridgerton by Julia Quinn, which I gave 5 stars to, and it's a reread. If you watch my wrap up from January, you know that I started rereading some Bridgerton books because of the whole Left in My Heart after season 4 part 1. My brain was obsessed with everything Bridgerton, and I continued my rereads into February. And this is my favorite Bridgerton book. I love Penelope and Colin so much, and every time I reread this book I feel like I fall in love with it more. It's my 3rd time reading it now, and I just felt so giddy the entire time reading this. Then next I have Like in Love with You by Emma R. Alban, which I DNF'd at 54% of the way through the book. This is also a galley from NetGalley. So as I was in my Bridgerton high, I of course wanted to pick up another historical romance, and this one is sapphic, so I thought it would be perfect. It's also compared to Mean Girls, and I sadly enough didn't work for me. I typically don't DNF a book this far in. If you know me, you know that. My average DNF time is within the first quarter of the book. I feel like once I've invested more time than that in it, I feel like oftentimes I can push through it. But I only got this far because I wanted to love this so much, because it sounded so right up my alley, but it was just so boring. Like nothing happened in this. The characters felt so flat, and it truly was a drag to get through. The next I read The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, which I gave 5 stars to, and this was a total surprise to me because I read most of Campus series a couple of years ago, and even though I enjoyed them, I did feel kind of like meh about them. And this is the only one that I still had to read, and my library never had it, and I read the series with the library, recently got it in, so I finally read it, and I love this one. I don't know what's in this book or what, but I had such a good time reading this book. It was so addicting, such a compulsive read. I also just really like the couple in this one. The romance was really well developed. I really like the focus on kind of like their emotional bond. There was also great groveling in this. If you love that, you'll love this. And I also just like both of their character journeys, personal journeys. And then we stay within the Bridgerton vibes with On the Way to the Wedding by Julia Quinn, which I give 5 stars to, and another reread. As I said, I had to fill the void. And this is Gregory's book. It's the final book in a series, and it's my 2nd time reading this. And I think this book is a little bit underrated. I feel like everyone who has gotten to this point in the series does love this one, but I feel like it's so rare for people to have gotten to this part. But I love this one so much. This one kind of is based upon like soap operas a little bit, so it is like very high drama, which makes it so much fun, especially because despite it being like very grand, very high drama, the romance just feels a bit more softer, more quieter, and that balance is just really well done, and it makes the romance also just like such a sweet spot throughout the entire book. Then next I read Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, which I gave 4 to 5 stars to. This one is a bit of a difficult one to review because I feel like for the first half of it I just really struggled with this book. I feel like I was very very interested in whatever was happening in it, and I like didn't hate my time in this book. I just feel like things moved so slowly. I also think there were some things going on in my life and like my reading mood in general that also kept me from fully like engaging with this book. But then when it kind of like hit the halfway mark, I feel like I got sucked in this book so hard. Like I just had such a good time with the second half, and I feel like the second half is 5-star worthy. Just like that first half was such a struggle bus, and I still can't really fully figure out if that was on me or on the book. And I don't know, I just feel like it's so masterfully crafted. I feel like the 5-star, like I feel like the second half is just so sublime, but like I said, I struggled so much with the first half that I couldn't give it a 5-star. Then I read Fake Skating by Lynn Painter, which I give 2 out of 5 stars to. This one I was very excited to read because it's fake dating and is by the same author who wrote Better Than the Movies and Nothing Like the Movies, which are 2 books I really enjoyed. So I was hoping I would also really enjoy this book, and I thought it was fine. Like I said, it's a 3-star. I don't hate it. For the most part, I actually thought this was a like decent enough read. It was a cute enough read. It just that the female main character just felt like everything going on with her just felt extremely undercooked and like not like written as strongly as things going on like the male main character's life. So that kind of ended up bothering me, but I still would recommend it, I guess. Then we have His and Hers by Alice Feeney, which I give 2 to 5 stars to. Last month, so in January, the adaptation for this one, guys, a Netflix series, and with that releasing, I feel like I saw a lot of talk about this book and how it's so good. So I was very excited to read it, and I don't get it. I thought the writing was very clunky. I thought the characters were very flat, even more so. It's kind of a typical in a mystery thriller. And then I do think the mystery was interesting enough. It kept me engaged, kept me reading, but I do think there was like a little bit too little of it, and then in the end the reveal just felt so stupid that I just, if I wasn't already at the end, I would have rage quitted. Then we have The Boyfriend by Freida McFadden, which I give 4 to 5 stars to. Freida McFadden in recent years has become a very popular mystery thriller author, and I've been meaning to check her out for so long, but preferably to the library, but her books are always checked out. So when I saw this when I went to the library last month, I had to pick it up, and I'm so glad I did because I really enjoyed it. I totally get both the hype and the criticisms towards this author, because do I think this book is well written? No. It is very simple writing. The main character is extremely stupid, and I do think the ending is one of the sort that there was no build up towards it. But at the same time, I had so much fun with this book. I feel like enjoyment wise, this is probably one of the highest levels of this year so far. Then I read Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I give 2 to 5 stars to, and it is another book that I read because of the hype it has gotten over the past year. I feel like this was on so many people's favorites of 2025 list, and I get it, I do. Despite the 3-star rating, I do really get it because I can point to you anything that's wrong with this book. Like technically nothing's wrong with this book. I thought it was interesting. I thought it had a good romance at the center of it. I thought the characters were interesting to follow. As a bit of a family focus, that was really interesting. All the space stuff was really interesting. It just that, and this is gonna sound rude, but at no point throughout this book I cared about any of it, and I found it so hard for me to be like invested in anything. I don't know what it was about it. I can't put my finger on it, but I just kind of felt like tried the entire book. Then next I read Middle of the Night by Riley Sagar, which I gave 2 to 5 stars to, and this one started off so strong for me. I feel like the mystery in this one was so interesting, and we introduced some elements into the mix that I was like, ooh, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna go some directions you would have never expected, but then it just like nothing happens. And then like the last 50 pages of this book, and then the reveal just felt a bit lackluster as well, and I don't know, it ended up being a 2 for me. Then we have The Legacy by Elle Kennedy, which I gave 4 to 5 stars to. Technically, when I said earlier that there's only one book in the off-campus series I still had to read, that was a lie because it's technically also a full book, but this one is a collection of short stories, kind of being like an extra epilogue to all of these characters, like all of these couples. But the stories are interconnected, so it's like a big thread throughout them all, and I had so much fun with this. I was a bit nervous about it because it has been a while since I read most of the series, so I didn't know if I'd have the attachment to these characters and these couples for this to fully work, but I had a blast reading this. I thought it was so much fun and does a great job just kind of delving back into these characters a little bit and then giving them a little bit extra of the happy ending. And then next I read One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware, which I also gave 5 stars to. I thought this was going to be a reality TV show set in Gone Wrong, which is something I really love. It's not. The reality TV show barely has anything to do with this book, but even as like a survival book, which is ultimately what this book is, I don't think it did a great job at that. I feel like I've never read a survival book that's this boring. Like everything just comes so easily to these characters, and so there's like no tension to it at all. There's no like, oh, will they survive or not? And then there was also a character that's killing off the people, and that character it's just so cartoonish that doesn't even feel threatening, if that makes sense. Then next I read Van 100 naar 100 by Thomas Smolders, which I gave 5 stars to. This is a non-fiction book about Studio 100. Studio 100 is a Flemish media company, which is like way underestimating what they actually do, but I'm obsessed with them. You might know this about me. So they turned 30 years old this year, and this is a book kind of about those 30 years. It's not directly affiliated with them, but it is like very well researched. It does approach things from a bit of a business perspective, which to me as a huge fan of Studio 100 I really love, because that way I got to learn a lot. But that being said, it doesn't like read like dry or anything. It's very well compiled, very quick read, very interesting read, and I generally think that even if you're not a big Studio 100 fan, you'll still really enjoy this. So I don't know, I would only recommend it to people. Then next we have The Maid Secret by Nita, which I DNF'd at 12%. This is another gallery from that gallery. I truly hate to tell you this, because this series has been a while. This is the last book in the Molly the Maid series, first book of which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but there was enough in there that compelled me to pick up the second book, which I then really enjoyed. So I was very excited for this third and final book, but it annoyed me so quickly. And I have to say that something that is a thing with the series is that Molly is quirky to the max. Like, she is on the edge of annoying throughout all of these books, but I feel like book 1 and 2 just have such a strong heart and like passion in it clearly that it doesn't really feel that bothersome. But with this book, I felt like that heart was missing, and therefore very quickly I just find myself eyeballing so much. Then next, I read The Ashes in a Stalker's King by Carissa Broadbent, which I gave 4 stars to. This is the second book in the Quantum Nyexia series, and the first book was one of my favorites of last year, so I was very excited for this one. And I really liked it. I don't love it as much as book 1, obviously because it's a 4, but I generally think they did a great job kind of dealing with the events at the end of book 1, because the end of book 1 just switches up the status quo so much, and therefore our characters have to reckon with quite a lot. The relationship also just gets very, very complicated. And what I really liked with this book is dual POV, while the first book was singular, and I really like getting that in this one, just to fully understand both of our characters properly in these difficult situations that they're in, and their motivations and everything. So I really like that. I also think this one gets a bit more epic fantasy, if that makes sense, and gets bigger, grander. I also really like how that was done, and ultimately like what Carissa Broadbent packs in this book plot wise is a lot, and nothing ever feels rushed or underdeveloped. So I really like that. I also really liked how different elements were brought into the ending of this, some parts that I wasn't even expecting from book 1 to ever come back again. So I don't know, I really like that. I really like the relationship development, the character development. Overall, like I said, the plot was great. It's just that I didn't feel as invested in this book as I did with the first one. And then next I read One and Only by Maurene Goo, which I gave 4 stars to as a gallery from Night Gallery. This one I was a bit nervous to read because it's a love triangle book, and I'm not a big love triangle person, but I do love soulmates, especially in a contemporary setting, and that's what this book is. So, you know, one thing brings out the other, and I'm actually really excited that I decided to pick up this book because I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the love triangle was actually really well done, where I could really understand both sides of the triangle and why my character would feel attracted to both of them, especially with also that soulmates element mixed into things, making a certain part a bit heavier. So I really like that. I thought the romance in this was just very fun. But then also this book deals a lot with grief and our main characters like complicated family dynamics, and therefore it does also like pack that emotional punch really well. And then lastly we have And Now Back to You by B.K. Porson, which I gave 5 stars to. Another highly anticipated sequel. This one came out this month, and it's the sequel to For Some Color, which another one of my favorite books from last year. But this is a series of interconnected standalone books, but I was very excited about it, and it did not let me down, as you can tell by the 5-star rating. I had such a good time with this. I read this in 24 hours. I just had such a fun time with it. It was very compelling. I really liked both of our main characters. I liked their relationship and how that was developed. I really liked their personal journeys as well. They both have like things going on in their personal lives that are a big focus of this book as well. And again, add more of like that emotionalness to that. And something I love most in romances is when our two main character ends up being each other's biggest support system and like biggest cheerleaders. And that's definitely what happened in this book. So I love that. I just really like the cast of characters, the ones you already got from book 1, but also the new ones. I just feel like they brought this book to life, added some funny moments to this book as well. And I don't know, I really love this. If you are debating on if you should pick this up or not, I say you should. Yeah, that's everything I have for you today. I tried to get through it as quickly as possible, partially because of how I'm feeling, but also partially because I know you don't want to watch a video that's forever long. So I hope I still did a good job reviewing these books. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of any of these books if you've read them, as well as some of your favorite books you read in the month of February, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Good. Bye.